It appears that Apple's vision for the future is this: a VR headset. They're cool and quite a bit of fun, at least for a while. And at this year's WWDC, we're expecting to see their version of it. From what I know about Apple's history, this seems off. An Apple VR platform? That seems so open-ended and unresolved. I'm not confident, and I don't know why. So to see if I'm the only one ahead of the announcement, let's ask people what they want from an Apple VR headset. Mark. Hi. Do I look cool wearing these?
A little bit.
Kind of, but probably just wear inside.
You look cooler.
What?
Kinda look like a bug.
I don't know where to look. Like, there's cameras right above your nose. You look like a Star Wars alien if I just focus on that.
This headset has been a long time coming, actually, with rumors trickling out steadily for the past 8 years. People have been speculating about the specs, but I'm more interested in the whole point of Apple's headset, because frankly, I think it's worth tamping down expectation.
So, if I had to sum it up, it's probably not going to be amazing. In my opinion, what they're going to probably announce or release, according to all those rumors, it's going to be kind of VR headsets with potentially see-through applications.
To help me on my journey, I reached out to Zine Bahamri, a lead analyst for display imaging, as well as Eugene Fume, Dean of Applied Sciences at Simon Fraser University here in Burnaby.
Because I would have preferred the AR, a straight AR solution personally. I think there would be a lower barrier to acceptance and more people would try it out. I think AR actually has more potential in society at large. The very fact you're looking at me through this VR headset and I'm not sharing that experience with you is fundamentally problematic. But I'm not too surprised that they would go to a VR setting first. There is an opportunity to capitalize on existing VR applications, interesting graphics, games, and so on. And having a pass-through gives you an AR-ish experience.
The closest analog to what's expected is this, the MetaQuest Pro. I've been using it for the past week and it's really sold me on what VR offers, especially in terms of immersion and sense of scale in virtual worlds. Whoa, cool apartment. Unfortunately, it's decent hardware controlled by maddening meta software. But fortunately, this is what Apple does best. Take an established category that's a little lost and then show the world how it should be done. It's what they did with the PC, it's what they did with the music player, it's what they did with the cell phone, and I guess what they're doing with the Apple Watch. The question is, are those past successes any indication that Apple will be the company to finally crack VR, or is this just a radically different challenge from what they faced before? Search! Ugh.
We have to remember that this idea of extending reality has been around for millennia. I mean, you know, with the development of eyeglasses and microscopes and telescopes, we're kind of extending the nature of the reality we can perceive. So this idea of augmenting reality has been around a long time. The difference is that those were all purpose-built. What we're dealing with here with these glass technologies is we've been through a cycle since, you know, the mid-1960s. And they've really been largely the same kind of applications, simulation technologies, and it's moved into the idea of immersive computer graphics environments, games, and so on. So the cycle of applications hasn't changed that much, and the nature of frankly, the form factor has not changed that much.
And the use case, the application is really what's missing. And I mean, if we look at the history, you opened up with a VR. Don't know if you remember 2014, Mark Zuckerberg buys Oculus for $2 billion. And he says, no worry, we're going to start with the video gamers. And then it's going to be what he called a social VR. It's going to be for everyone. You're going to be able to call your grandma over the VR and so on and so forth. Lo and behold, we are many years after that. And the market is only video gamers and industrial applications.
If we're going to be doing anything with these headsets, it's surfing the web, right? And if you want to participate, well, might as well make a website with this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Building a website has never been easier with Squarespace's one-stop shop. Use their wide range of templates and themes and be ready for the metaverse or whatever Apple comes up with. And if you're running a business, track and grow it with their marketing tools and take advantage of their 24/7 support. In fact, we believe in Squarespace so much that we use it here for our own web pages. Visit squarespace.com/Mac address to receive a 10% discount on your first purchase. I'm sure you've heard that there are a lot of rumors that Apple's going to release a headset similar to this.
Yeah.
What should it do? Like, what would make it useful?
I don't want to watch like Netflix outside, but like maybe scan some areas, maybe make graphs. I don't know.
Final Cut Pro, my new editing setup.
So you would edit Final Cut Pro in like a virtual world?
That'd be amazing. What's that movie?
Minority Report?
Minority Report, but like video editing.
I'm not an Apple. I don't have anything Apple, so I don't. If it could get my wife interested in it, then I would buy it.
Seriously, if this could get your wife into VR,
Yeah,
that would make it worthwhile.
yeah. The more that being in a VR environment is more like being in the real world, this is obvious. The more
Right.
I want to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool if it can incorporate with some like applications where you can like do like draping or some sort or pattern making. There's Gravity Sketch can already do something similar with like drawing in a 3D space with VR headsets.
What would it have to do to be revolutionary and useful?
You'd have to be able to use it while it's charging.
Okay.
Would I want to watch a movie through an AR or VR headset? No, we already saw the problem with that with stereo televisions. You lose track of your companions. What I would want is something where there's nothing but a gain. And there seems to be a situation where there's a gain, but there's a demonstrable loss. And so if it's win-win-win along the way, then I'm in.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned like that we've been making progress forward, but there's always been kind of caveats. It kind of feels then that we're not getting as far as we could. Like there's lots of obstacles in the way.
What we haven't seemed to have gotten past is getting really into the mainstream. We seem to be stuck in the early adopter world with these technologies. Unlike, say, look at where we've gone with games technologies and how far people are willing to go to really upgrade their systems so that they get the best possible experience. They're early adopters, but there's many others that have joined. There's a huge momentum to the point that video games are a gigantic industry that dwarfs the movie industry. So show me more gains. And I'm all in if they do.
Like VR, the rumors of Apple's headset haven't shown a win-win, though. It sounds more like a compromise. The dream and intention from the start was to create a set of augmented reality glasses, which wouldn't look out of place on your face while displaying an interface in your space. But that's not happening. Instead, we're getting mixed reality, and that's quite new. Using this makes that hard to see, though. Sure, I can walk around with it just fine, but the effect from these cameras make me feel like Scott Pilgrim battling the X's. And who wants to do that? In 2017, Apple launched ARKit for developers, and for a few years after, they would demo how the LiDAR sensors in their Pro mobile devices could enable such amazing experiences, like Lego on a table or overlays and clips. Perhaps the best experience I've been able to find is the AR walking directions in Apple Maps. That would be great in a pair of glasses, but only if I'm willing to be seen out in public with them.
What I'm hoping for is that we see a lot of creative people looking at these beyond games technologies, that they'll be looking at more somber or austere applications that really will help people. And another aspect of this is how do we make these devices more inclusive? But we really need creative software people to generate and develop really interesting inclusive applications.
So what kind of applications can we expect developers to make? Currently, the most compelling use case for VR is gaming, but that's the one thing Apple's the worst at. If a developer wants to make a game, they have to use Apple's Metal API, whereas most are using Vulkan. So if you were to take the number of VR developers and cross them with the number of Metal API developers, I imagine the Venn diagram overlap is quite slim. Not to mention if they have to give 30% of all transactions on the platform to Apple, which has already strained the company's relationships with developers, even on top of App Store review struggles. But maybe we don't need any new applications. We just need the applications we already have with a new interface and in a new way, which is what Apple's done exceedingly well. The Macintosh had the mouse, the iPod had the click wheel, the iPhone had multi-touch.
You know, one of the things that we really might want to think more about is the whole nature of display systems. As I went through my understanding of computer graphics, I was forced to learn about magic. And the magic starts with things like cathode ray tubes. They're magic. And then we go to, we went to LCDs, then to LEDs, magic. But one of the things that we're stuck with is the display. And it means that we have to go to the display. The promise of AR and VR, in particular AR, is that we can be freed from the display as a fixed thing.
We actually have an opportunity to get a glimpse of what this is like with the Nreal Air glasses, and I gave Eugene a chance to try them out himself.
You know, that's really good. I think I could actually use this. That's always been the promise of it. And that's, I think, a place where we can kind of imagine really a world where the computer, and in some sense the display, disappears. It's simply part of a human visual system, part of the cognitive processing we do. I think it will happen though. And that's really something for us to be thinking about as human beings. What will happen when we are completely unmoored from, the home office and the display systems that we essentially have our faces stuck into?
Whoa.
Now the display travel with us. It's kind of cool when you think about that as the promise of the technology.
It's really interesting that you bring up, replacing screens, because that is kind of a compelling application. And is it really that simple?
I think it is that simple. But then we have to have the compelling applications.
I could imagine sitting in the office managing windows floating in space, maybe even video editing a timeline that spans across the entirety of the desk. The office use case is where Meta has been trying to go, and they've yet to set the world on fire. But Meta isn't Apple.
And Apple coming in would be kind of a strong commitment. So they're gonna release something that's top level, that's video see-through. And I'm really hoping that it creates the emulation and the development that's needed for the whole industry, because you can have the best hardware. If you don't have anything to use it for, it's gonna be useless.
So you can see, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. Like, this is going to happen. Does it happen now versus the next wheel of reincarnation? That's going to be the interesting question. So yeah, it's been a 50 some odd year process, and it'll just be very interesting to see where we end up. I think given Apple's reputation, I think they'll likely have a very nice looking headset.
Thanks for making this Mac address a virtual reality. If you're excited for Apple's headset, give this video a like, and if you want to learn about it when it gets announced, well, you might as well subscribe. Now, I'm curious in the comments below what you think the right use case for one of these is.